But we are very pleased to have Rick Lambert here this morning for our Ask an Author event series. Rick lives in Monterey and Howard County and is going to talk a little bit about how spelunking led to a wonderful book publication.
Thank you. How many of you here are cavers or spelunkers? Okay, several. If you're a caver, a caver never wants to be called a spelunker. I turned it on. Okay, yes. Because our saying is, cavers rescue spelunkers. And you can tell if somebody goes into caves a lot because they refer to themselves as cavers and not spelunkers. At the bottom of the photo there, you see photo by Yvonne Drums. Yvonne, raise your hand. And beside her is her partner, Mark. If you have any questions on caving, take it to them. They are experts at caving. How many of you in here are contemplating writing a book? Excellent. Yes, I would encourage you to do that. Especially get your stories down, what you want to say, and there are people that can take it and turn it into a book for you. Yeah. So my talk today is how a passion for caving turned into a book on natural chimneys. Yeah, let's see here. No. It's on. Okay. You want to advance the slide? There you go. I've been caving for 65 years. Now, I'm only 70 years old. My grandfather was a caver. So he started taking me caving when I was 5 years old, and it was something that got into my blood and has never gotten out. This thing, oh, there we go, okay. My family owns 20 caves in West Virginia, and one has a Virginia big-eared bat maternity colony in it. If you look behind the caver at the entrance, you can see a metal gate. That is to keep people out when the bats are in the cave. And the bats fly through the slats and then roost inside the cave. And this cave contains mostly female bats, and they bear their young, and they raise them in the cave. Once the baby bats get to a certain age and have hair on them, they will actually attach themselves to their mother and go out with their mother at night while she catches insects. And then she'll hang and digest the insects, and they'll suckle the milk that she produces. Here's a Virginia big-eared bat. I know most people say, ooh. If you look on it, you can see two sarcophagus flies right there. They are actually feeding on the bat, sucking the blood, and each bat will have one male sarcophagus fly and up to 6 or 7 females, and he has a harem. And if more females come in or other males, he'll run them off because they want the bat to have a long life so that they can have a long life. And so they prevent too much blood from being sucked, and he also tries to keep other males from taking his females. Okay, one of our cave entrances, can you see the red there? Okay, those are actual surveyed cave passageways. One of the entrances we own goes to a cave that right now has over 29 miles of cave passageways. And that's 29 miles that have actually been surveyed and measured. Okay, my love for caving and for our caves led to me writing 2 books earlier before the Natural Chimneys book. And one was a Convergence of Cavemen, which covered the history of Seneca Caverns, which is a commercial cave in West Virginia that my family owns, and Stratosphere Balloon Cave, which was a commercial cave before the Depression, or before World War II, excuse me. After World War II, they didn't reopen it. So I had a little practice in writing a book before the Natural Chimneys book came up. Okay, in 1991, after 31 years as a recreational caver, I turned to project caving. And the difference between recreational caving and project caving is project cavers have a tendency to concentrate on the science in caving, whether it's exploration, surveying, mapping, inventorying the biology of a cave, the history, and so forth. So I had this urge to collect all this information. I have a file at my house or a library that has over 350,000 cave-related items in it. And so what do you do with something like that? You know, just collect it and not turn it over to somebody? So I decided that I needed to start writing. And I want you to know that there are 100 projects I'd like to write, but that probably most of them will never get worked on. As a project caver, I've been part of teams that have discovered over 200 new caves. Caving is a team sport. The smallest team should probably be 4 people. That way, if somebody gets hurt, somebody can stay with the person that's hurt, and 2 people can go for help. Okay? So it's not an activity where one person discovers all these caves. I mean, they could, but it should be a team effort. As a result, I've written hundreds of trip reports, and this helped me in writing the book on natural chimneys and the other books that I've written. The Virginia Speleological Survey files, in them, there was a mention of 2 caves at Natural Chimneys, and neither had a map nor a description. So what we wanted to do was to go in and survey these caves. And what we had to first do was get permission from the Augusta County Parks and Recreation Department. And we actually had to get a waiver provided by their lawyers. And if you've ever dealt with lawyers and attorneys, it took forever. So finally we got the waiver, and we went in to survey the caves and make maps of them. And I expected that we would have maybe a very short report. There you go. Yes. I envisioned a short report, but Treasures in Stone came out of it. And what I found is that there was more to Natural Chimneys than just the stone pillars and the caves in the area. It has a rich history. It goes all the way back to the 1700s, was the first time that the land was patented. I don't know if you understand the term patented, but when the first white people came to the area, they didn't buy the land. They did a survey and took it to the Augusta County Courthouse, and they registered that survey, and then that land was theirs. Later on, they could sell it. And then transfer the deeds and so forth. We also found that magazine articles on natural chimneys went back to the early 1830s, like 1834, 1835. And there was a spring not far from Natural Chimneys. Is it Stribling Springs? There was a resort there. And they would run tours from the springs to Natural Chimneys. And at that time, it was privately owned. And they also ran tours to Weir's Cave over at Grottoes. Okay, one of the big problems that I ran into is that the people who took Natural Chimneys and built it into a recreational business, okay, or a a tourist attraction was Colonel Brown, right there. He was never in the military. That's just a Southern title. And his nephew, Gordon Brown, and his wife, Georgia. That's a young photo of her, and here is Georgia on the day that she transferred the Chimneys to the, I guess it was the regional park. All right, all these people were dead, and there was nobody to get firsthand information from. I thought at the time. I didn't know, is it Mike? I didn't know Mike. Mike actually worked there for Georgia. And so most of my research was online and in newspaper accounts, especially Ancestry's newspaper account. The main source that I used was the Augusta County deed books. And I don't know if you've ever researched a deed, but you start at the present and you go back. But then in the book, I took it from the very first patenting of the property and then went in the opposite direction forward, which seemed a little disjointed to me. I was very fortunate in that Georgia Brown left scrapbooks at Natural Chimneys. She had her own scrapbook of every time the Chimneys, and especially a jousting tournament, was in the newspaper, she would clip those newspaper clippings and put them in the book. Another thing was newspapers.com. I've mentioned them. You could go back and research all the newspapers in the area. One big question was, did the jousting tournament really start in 1824? Okay. I could find no evidence that it did, and that 200-year date, or 1824 date, only appeared when Gordon Brown purchased the property. So, but you can trace jousting there back to the 1880s, but not all the way back to 1824. The jousting people didn't exactly like that, but they supposedly have records, and that has been printed in the newspaper before, that they have records and proof, but nobody can present those records as proof. Go ahead.
What's the picture of?
Oh, that. Okay. That is a fungus on the floor of a cave passageway. I have never seen that before. At first, when I first saw it, I thought it was a fairy ring. But you know, fairy rings go out one ring. Yeah, but this is multiple rings. Yeah, I have no idea. I put that up there to see if anybody would ask. And at any time, if you have a question, please ask me.
And I have a microphone too.
Yes.
I do have a question. Is Mr. Brown connected to the Colonel Brown who owned Endless Caverns?
Yes, he's the same man.
And his son then also owned Melrose Caverns.
I did not know that.
But they are the one and the
Yes, they're
same?
the same ones.
Thank
Yes.
you.
As a matter of fact, when the first Brown died, he left a certain percentage of the caverns to Gordon. I saw that in the will. And I don't know at what point Gordon sold the caverns. eBay.com. eBay has gotten thousands of dollars off of me. I have literally hundreds of postcards on Natural Chimneys and the souvenirs and books. So that is a good place. Jeff Bradfield at Rolling Hills Antique Mall. Jeff has a tremendous collection of information, old postcards on Natural Chimneys, and he opened them to me and allowed me to scan them and use them in my book. The magazine articles, we found them that they dated from 1834, 1835, 1845, 1874, and 1884. And then, of course, the more modern ones in the 1900s. More jousting people have bought the Natural Chimneys book than cavers, okay? And what I did is I went back through Georgia's scrapbook, and I put in my book everybody that was mentioned in an article on the jousting tournament, the winners, the queen, the king, and so forth. And so more jousting families have bought the book than cavers. And then to get a look at the property before the regional park tore everything down, when it was getting ready to be put up for sale, a company from Roanoke did an appraisal of the property and photographed the buildings. And that is the only, other than the main house, that is the only photographs I could find of the other buildings around Natural Chimneys. And of course, all of those were where the campground is now. Am I right, Mike? Yeah. Okay. All right. I think that's it. It is. Your questions? Yes, ma'am.
Could you talk a little bit about the remaining chimney that's at the park as to what the origin of that was?
Well, that was the house, wasn't it, Mike? Yes. And was that also the souvenir shop?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where Gordon, who passed away, and then Mrs. Brown, Georgia to everybody else, Mrs. Brown to me, lived.
Yeah.
And so the chimney is the only thing that's left.
Okay.
So did Brown build that house or have it built?
I don't know. I know that there was an Anderson family before, well, there were many families before that, but the last people that I remember that I could find that lived there were the Andersons. And the property, they had a house there, and I don't know if it's the same one that was there. And weren't there also cabins on the property, Mike?
There was. Can't remember her name now, geez.
There's one
Ethel
left.
Wilmot.
What's that?
There was one named Ethel Wilmot.
Okay.
That I think was Georgia's cousin.
Okay.
And Georgia had this log cabin moved there on the property near the house where Ethel lived for a while.
Okay. Right here.
Evan.
Oh, we can do you.
Yeah, when you alluded to the magazine articles, which magazines, can you say which ones?
You know, if you look at the book going out, I have all of them reprinted in the book in the order that they were mentioned. On the internet. It's amazing what you can find on the internet. Now, I thought I did an exhaustive search. After the book was published, I then found another one in the 1800s that somehow I had missed. So there could be even more out there that I don't know of.
I'm curious about the jousting. I remember watching it as a kid, and I didn't realize it was so old. But all I remember is like the actual jousting. And I didn't realize, is there this tradition of a queen and a king? Maybe you could talk a little bit more about that.
Well, jousting used to be two riders going at each other and knocking each other off of the horse with long poles, okay? Then in France, in like the 1700s, there was a king where one of the lances went through his throat and he died a few days later. After that, they went for ring tournaments where they would start with a 1-inch ring down to 3/4 and down to a half. And so that's what it turned into. And in 1824, there was a book written, Oh my, Ivanhoe. Yeah, and there was a movie made later on about it. And this really was attractive to the Southern gentile in America. And they revived jousting. Now, I don't know if jousting actually started in 1824 here. I think the earliest we can find is up in Maryland of a jousting tournament in 1830s, or mention of one. So it started shortly after that. And supposedly it started in 1824 here in, or down at Mount Solon at the Chimneys. But if you read some of the magazine articles and newspaper articles, you'll find that the area around the Chimneys was a forest, a virgin forest. So there was no jousting in the virgin forest. Now, could it have been somewhere else on the property? Probably. But that was not popularized until E.T. Brown, Colonel Brown, bought the property and made it into a tourist attraction.
Has anybody here been to a jousting tournament?
Yes. Yeah.
I was an attendant once,
Okay.
little boy that stood by the queen.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know there was.
yes. If you look at the newspaper articles, I mean, sometimes 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people would be at a tournament. And today you're lucky to get 200.
Oh, I was just kind of curious, when the king had this accident with the lance, and then it ended up with them completely changing the sport to make it safer, was there a lot of hubbub about that?
I don't know.
I mean, taking away the sport of it all? I mean,
Well, I
as
would
bad as-
think that going down and getting 3 rings an inch in diameter, those are the biggest rings,
I know. I was just,
would require more skill. But I don't know that.
I'm just being a little smart. I mean, I just remember things in the past where they've done to change sports, or even getting people to wear helmets on motorcycles. And it's like, it's for their own good, but they're just like, ah.
Yeah. Or getting cavers to wear helmets.
oh, well, yeah.
Mark?
Are all of the original chimneys still around, or have any of them ever been destroyed or fallen down?
No, I think they're all standing right now. There are 7, I believe.
How far did the cave end up going?
I think the large, and we have a map from the Natural Chimneys is a big archaeological site. Inside one of the caves, they found like the bones of 600 different species from the Pleistocene. And these were mostly small mammals. They were mostly squirrel size or smaller, although they did have baby teeth from dire wolf and something else, okay? And so the archaeologists, whenever they went in there, they drew a map of what is called Brown's Cave. And that's the cave that's on just to the right of the Chimneys. It has a trail going up into it. And if you take your phone in and turn on the flashlight, you can see the end of the cave. But they show a much bigger cave than we surveyed today. And what we found is beyond the cave, above it on the hill, there was a sinkhole that they threw these concrete picnic tables in, broken up concrete picnic tables. And it was collapsing in, but it was blocked by the picnic tables. And we said, here's the other section of Brown's Cave. So the longest cave, if we count that, is about 130 feet in length. The others are small.
Do you think the caves were there and then got dissected by the formation of the pillars?
That's a good question, Mark. If you look at them, it looks like the caves go through 2 or 3 pillars. So I think they were there and then the pillars formed. And I saw a geological paper where they were addressing the fact that are the pillars going to fall over and be gone? And the geologist said no, that as the, North River there is going back and forth, it's eroding down and the pillars are still coming out. Okay, now I don't know how he knows that, but yes, sir.
I was going to ask kind of similar to that. Can you see, is there more of the pillars under the ground in the
Yes.
caves? Okay.
Yes, yeah. And there could be more caves underground because certain times of the year, if you walk over to Dry River, North River, it's dry because the water sinks and goes under and comes up how many miles down the stream?
It's not dry, it's just hiding.
It's hiding, okay. Yes, it's underground. So there's probably more cave formation taking place much lower right now. And we found sinkholes that blew air when the river was dry, and when there was water in the river, they would stop blowing air. And we thought that they were connected somehow through the water passageway, and as it filled up, it blocked the air, and as the water went down, then it allowed the air to pass again. Mm-hmm. And I covered that in my book. Yeah. Mike?
I was told that water from around Natural Chimneys and North River flowed into Mount Solon, where that lake used to be. There's a spring at the head of where the lake used to be. It's now a swamp. But I was told that the water fed that spring, which then is the origin of Mossy Creek.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. I just remember reading it somewhere.
Do you remember the cave name up above Mount Solon where the river sinks and it opened up? And Phil Lucas, Josh Rubenstein, what was the name of that?
Do they get water out of there?
All right, well, the water was sinking there, and they dye traced it to not all the springs in Mount Solon, but at least one of the springs in Mount Solon. And I don't know which one. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I used to crawl through that cave. I mean, I'm surprised I'm still alive.
Okay. Yes. Well,
By myself.
by yourself. Yes. Okay. Well, you're a spelunker. Wait for her.
Have you had any close calls as a caver?
With beavers or cavers?
Have you had close call as a caver? Have you had close calls?
Yeah, I have.
Injuries?
Yeah.
Okay. Near-death experiences?
Well, one time I was asked to do a climb that I shouldn't have done by some older cavers. And then once I got down, I realized how dangerous it was, and I had nightmares that night. I've been trapped by water one time, but was in no danger of dying, but everybody around me thought that we were going to die. I mean, and I've hurt myself several times and had to cave with an air splint. Okay. So, yeah.
You were trapped by water, was it?
What was it
A
coming up at you?
thunderstorm on the surface, and this was a new cave we'd never been in. And everybody was saying, well, what does this cave do when it floods? And I said, well, I don't know. We're the first ones here. But we ran a dome we could have climbed, and it never got high enough. But some of those people never caved with me again.
Did you have to swim underwater to get back
we waited
out?
for the water to go down and went out.
Okay.
Yeah. When we went in, it was dry, and the guy in the front said, hey, I can hear a waterfall, and there was no waterfall before. So I said, go forward fast. And we went forward, and the water came up, and it went down. But we went in dry. They went out with the water still in the passageway. They didn't want to stay around. Yeah.
You ever done any cave diving?
I have not. Mark, Vonnie, have you all cave dived?
We're not trained at it. I've done a couple very short ones where someone had gone ahead and laid a line that you could pull on,
Yeah.
but not real cave diving.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous.
Yeah. I don't like to even drink water. So, yeah. Yeah. I have a hot tub and I used to practice going under the lid. No, not for me.
Don't drink that one.
Yeah, don't drink that water. Yeah. More questions? Okay, listen.
Oh, Penny
Those,
has a-
okay,
Penny has a
I'll say this, Paul. Those of you thinking about writing a book, start writing the stuff down. It doesn't have to be great because there are people that can help you make it great. Believe me. Yeah. This book was the first one where I used a professional publisher and editor. And boy, they were good. Yes.
I think you answered half of my question. I was just going to ask you about the process of writing the book and how long it took and what you've learned over the years of writing.
Well, it took maybe 2-3 years to write it because I kept finding stuff. And we wanted to have the book ready for the 200th anniversary of the Jousting tournament. And so that set a final date. And actually, Campbell Printing gave it to me the Friday before the Jousting on Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was that close. And that was, so that created more expense. It could have been a lot cheaper if I'd taken more time and had gone other routes. Not to put Campbell down. You look at the book, they did a wonderful job.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
beautiful.
they did. It's professional.
And you chose a local publisher and a
Yes.
local printer.
Yes, I did. Yeah, everybody was local.
Yep.
Except me. I was in Monterey.
That's it's close-ish, local-ish.
Yeah.
The book is wonderful. And Rick is going to stick around to sign some books if anybody's interested in that. So thank you so much.
Okay.
We
Thank you,
very,
Al.
very much appreciate you being here. So.